All right. ODeX has become a significant player in the supply chain and logistics sector, right? Offering innovative and digital solutions. Can you provide a brief history of ODeX and also explain how the company was founded and what primary services you guys offer to clients?
So, one of the things that's been often said about supply chain is that it's a very disconnected industry. And if you're trying to get pen from China to the United States, it is that pen inside a container is possibly touched by 7 different organizations on each side. So 7 organizations on the Chinese side, 7 organizations in the United States before a $1, $2 pen is in your hands. It's a fascinating industry actually. And it's amazing that you can buy things that are really, really cheap on the shelves in Dubai here where I stay, or in the US or any part of the world today. And it could be produced like 6,000, 7,000 kilometers away, and it still gets to you. It's always fascinated me. When we started working in this industry, we realized that because there are so many organizations, not people, handling the cargo, the journey on documentation and payments was very, very broken. And when I say broken, it's very simple. Like for example, if Walmart is the buyer of the pen that I just spoke about, Walmart does not go about sending all the documents to a shipping line or the customs of a country. They appoint their own agents, and in both countries, in China and the United States. Now, these agents are not party to the bill of lading. And the bill of lading is a document that moves these goods across the world. So then what happens? Then you have a lot of people who, on paper, do not have anything to do with the cargo, who are chasing various stakeholders to get the cargo onto a ship or get it off a ship. And this is the one industry other than, of course, air cargo where this happens. You don't see it in any other industry. I mean, you don't see it when money moves. Nowhere else do you see this happen. And the funny thing was that, the guy who's getting the job done on the ground often does not have any say in how the things move. He does not have any control over the document. He does not have any control on the money reaching in time. And when we looked at this, we said that, hey, I mean, how is it possible that shipping lines can run ships efficiently, and have these ships transport cargo and meet timelines quite often? And when it comes to simple documents, it is all broken. How is this even possible? So we said, okay, let's go and build a Facebook for this industry, right? I mean, it's a B2B Facebook for the logistics industry, where if you're an agent and you need to ensure that your client's pen goes from China to the United States, come on to ODeX and see how simple you can make it. I mean, you need to connect to a carrier, you need to connect to terminals, you need to connect to way bridges, you need to connect to banks, you need to connect to lenders. So we set about actually building an ecosystem that will connect everybody and make it very, very simple for everyone to talk to each other. So when you look at an ODeX, it looks like a series of dashboards. But essentially what we do is we are enabling that conversations. Instead of 100 email trail mail that you have to look at, you just come onto a dashboard on ODeX. Instead of chasing the bank or a credit card provider to find out if your payments have been made, why have they not reached, just pay on ODeX. You'll probably see a confirmation within the next 15 seconds, and the carrier would have received their money. Your cargo can move at least 80% faster than it used to be because documentation delays are almost zero. So that's what we set out to do. Malaysia is the latest one. In fact, after Malaysia, we just went live with Kenya yesterday. That was in Africa. I think Africa has been personally close to my heart because other than Middle East, where we are headquartered, Middle East and India, Africa was the first region that we started out in. It's a little special because it's where we are growing the fastest. Now, of course, Far East is also quite a fast-growing market for us. We went live with Singapore, Malaysia. Now we will have Vietnam going live in the coming quarter. So yes, it's been good. We're going west and we're going east. So yes.
What other thing do your client find most valuable?
I think there are 3 things that the clients find most valuable on ODeX. The first is when we talk of a client, it could be a shipping line or a forwarder or any agent or BCO. So the first and most important thing is that if they're trying to work with a shipping line and want to access invoices, it's it's very simple. It's a click of a button away. Nobody's going to mail you an invoice any longer. Sounds very ominous, but actually it's
Yeah.
not. It's pretty much very simple now, because that's one feature where we see a lot of benefits that clients are able to realize, that they can look at their invoice, make payments, and track the release of their cargo all on one single dashboard. The second one, which is more important in an industry like this, is a feature called delegation. So let's say, in the example that I took of the pen, Walmart wants a DHL to work on their behalf. It's very simple. Walmart just goes on to ODeX and says that here is my agent and he will do everything on my behalf. The carrier is able to see that very seamlessly and ask for documentation, like a know your customer documentation from DHL, ask them to present their credentials, and they just start working. Traditionally, what would have happened is that Walmart would send a stamped letter on email saying that here is a no objection letter and here is a letter of intent to appoint this organization as my agent, etc. And then somebody has filed it somewhere. And when the agent turns up, they will say, okay, can you get me another copy? And believe me, it is really cumbersome to do all of this. Now it's become very, very seamless. It's a very powerful feature and a very powerful tool, this thing called delegation. It sounds very simple, and it is actually. It is just that in the context of business to business, it can get cumbersome and time consuming. The third one is very simple, again, called instructions. Now, it should be simple, right? You are the owner of the cargo. You have given it to somebody to transport, and you give them an instruction saying that, okay, I will take delivery of this cargo inside the terminal, or you need to transport it to my factory. Sounds very simple. Again, shipping can make it very complicated, because could involve a series of emails, could involve a series of changes. And there are multiple such instructions that on a day-to-day basis, anybody who owns cargo or an agent of a cargo owner needs to give to various other stakeholders, whether it is an ocean carrier, whether it is a transporter, whether it's a bank. So we have a very powerful feature on instructions where it's pretty much simple. You just go on to ODeX, choose whom you want to send an instruction to, choose what the instruction is going to be all about, click a few buttons and say that, and that's it, done. What it does is these three pillars of invoice and payments, delegation and instructions is seamlessly visible amongst stakeholders, and it is also quite secure. So it's not like I send something to MSC, it will be visible to Hapag-Lloyd. It's only going to be visible to Hapag-Lloyd. So we have those controls built in.
So only the particular client will be able to see them.
That's right. Yeah. So between a vendor, so essentially we are a platform that connects the vendor, that is an ocean carrier or a port terminal, to a customer, which could be a freight forwarder, which could be a custom broker or a cargo owner. Usually when you look at shipping, it is between the vendor, shipping line, and the cargo owner. But there are more important players like a freight forwarder and an agent who's there on ODeX. We make this communication very seamless. That's our one USP. We say that make it transparent, make it real time as far as possible, and make it clearly understood amongst all parties, with liabilities being very clear as to where they lie. So that's what we do. Very, very simple, actually.
I do get that you're saying it's simple and all that, but I also understand that the thought process of achieving this simplicity must have taken a very long process, right?
So, so this is 2014. We were working on a solution for an Indian freight forwarding company, one of the largest logistics service providers in India. And one of the best things that I loved about this industry was that we would sit in their office, our client's office, and we would be sitting amongst a set of customer service agents. And it seemed like a really fancy job, because you had somebody negotiating freight rates, going to Djibouti, and then there was someone talking to Shanghai, there was somebody talking to Los Angeles or San Francisco, there was somebody talking to Singapore. And we would be like, what kind of job is this? They seem to be going all around the world in one single day, and it seems very nice. The next day we go to work and we see that, it's not so nice, because they had this huge stack of paper that they would get stamped and they would send to the port terminal and the shipping line's office. And we were like, what are you doing? And they would say, no, we have to send this so that we can get an invoice. And I was like, okay. And then we have to ensure that the payment is made immediately so that we can get the cargo after 2 days. And I was like, excuse me, I'm your software vendor. I present an invoice. I don't get paid for the next 3 months. And, if I present a wrong invoice, you're not going to pay me for the next 6 months. So what kind of business is this where
you're shipping customers
customers are asking for invoice in advance and they are trying to pay you in advance so that your cargo can be released on time. I said, this is a great business to be in. I would love to be in this business. So we went and spoke to a few ocean carriers and we said, oh, what's the problem with releasing an invoice? They said, no, you know what? These guys do not reflect on the bill of lading. So which means that if it is a Reliance in India who has appointed these guys, Reliance needs to tell us who they are, which often they forget to tell us. And then, of course, by then banking hours are over, our office is shut down, we can't give you the cargo. And it is terrible luck if you're doing all this on a Friday, because we will come back to work on Monday and we will look at it. And then and it will probably come to you on Tuesday. And it's like, but it was fun. It was fun because when we started working on this problem, we started realizing that each stakeholder had one or two big challenges. One of them definitely was, how do you ensure that multiple payment solutions can talk to each other? So we are not a payment solutions company, but what we do is we ensure that banks talk to clients nicely through tech. Multiple payment solutions providers can talk to each other and to our customers again nicely and seamlessly and real time. So that's what we do. We ensure that payments are reconciled with invoices. Again, a huge challenge in this industry, and I think in every industry, that the closer I look at it, that who paid what and how much and by whom. Those are questions that if you can answer that in real time, a lot of things can get moving. So we started realizing that, actually, there are genuine problems here to be solved. And the first 4 years were actually spent in building out the solution. I think now we are seeing scale come in globally. Yeah, that's where we are.
So how do you ensure the security of it? Like the confidentiality, security? Because I
Yeah.
believe there must be like sensitive shipping and payments, right? So how do you keep in track of those?
So a lot of times what we, of course, multiple things. One of the biggest things that we have done is that we moved to secure platforms. In terms of the platform that we use for hosting our services and the infrastructure, most of it is on AWS. So we leverage a lot of their security features. I think we've subscribed to almost all of the security features that an AWS can offer. Other than that, of course, all data on the platform is encrypted and seriously encrypted, because we are quasi signatories to GDPR. When I say quasi, it means that we comply with GDPR, which is the most stringent data protection act in the world, because we work with a lot of European carriers. So when you comply with that, that means that access rights are controlled within ODeX also as to who can see what. Encryption is very, very stringent. No private information is stored on ODeX. So for example, if I'm speaking to Shweta and you need to register on ODeX, I cannot really store any of your personal data. The only thing I would have probably is your company email ID, and that too also in an encrypted form. Of course, we are ISO to 27000, all of it certified. And then there are regular audits that we undergo, both internal and external. So these are the large things that we do. Of course, there are a whole lot of small things that we do that when we connect to, whether it is our customers who are ocean carriers or forwarders, or we connect to banks, we obviously have a series of checklists on security that even our partners have to adhere to. And it's something that we keep upgrading. I think it is our new CTO actually has put in a process in terms of security upgrades almost every 45 days that we definitely will do. And that's an update that's quite exhaustive. And that's so.
Touch wood, but has anything ever happened in terms of?
Not really, not
Okay.
touch wood, not ever. We have, of course, experienced that a lot of times people try to explore if there are vulnerabilities. Thankfully, we have not faced any such issues. But it's something that continuously happens, and I think as we grow, we will only see more and more of it and have to be more vigilant. But because we are in a part of the world, especially where we work in countries like Nigeria, that also makes us very cognizant of the fact that it has to be completely above board in terms of security. I know sometimes what we do is a bit of an overkill, but there is, yeah, there is no two ways about it. We have to do it.
I just realized the time. Like
I was just looking at it. I said, yeah. Thanks, Shweta.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's quickly wrap it out so that I don't
Yeah.
take too much of your time. Okay. Trends in supply chain. What do you oversee it? Like, what do you see it coming? Is ODeX being prepared for anything?
I think three major trends that I see. One is that there's a lot of discussion on sustainability.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And the one thing that I'm really glad to see, and we would like to adopt maybe next year, is the ability to calculate your carbon footprint of the cargo that you're moving. That's one that's really good. The second is I see increasingly more and more serious venture capital coming into this industry, especially logistics tech, because we know that it is we are just probably coming out of funding winter for a lot of industries, but logistics tech really did not see things go down by much, and it's good because it's a crucial industry that's been neglected for a long time, and so that's a big one. And the third one, and the most important one, is we see that there's a mindset change, which
Okay.
is post-COVID, where work from home, digitization just has had more acceptance. And I just hope this continues. I don't want to say things like AI,
Okay.
or because if you
It's
see the
too,
last,
yeah. Everyone
so if you
says
ask
it.
me, if you ask me 2 years back, we would have said blockchain.
Mm,
This year, if you ask me, we will say AI. The proof of that lies in the pudding. I think we're still some time away from actually
yeah.
seeing a lot of
Mindset
AI
shift.
come.
That's an interesting take. I've not hear anyone actually said mindset shift, but they're more to okay AI and how we need to keep emotions in balance.
Well, I
Interesting.
think I think this has been a huge one in this industry,
Mm,
and we see it evolving now.
mm.
Nobody ever thought that you could manage a logistics and supply chain sitting at home, but we're doing it, and we're doing it well. So that shows that what the change in mindset can bring about. None of the
Interesting.
digitization is possible unless
Mm.
people decide to change.
Okay, my last question. How does it feel to be a woman in the role? Like the challenges, the good thing, the bad thing, everything.
That's a tough one, actually. I will be very candid.
Yes, please.
In my former life, when I was working in consulting and
Mm.
pharmaceuticals, and I never faced gender bias.
That's good.
It is, I have been told that it is rare, but honestly, I mean, gender was not a part of the discussion at all till my late teens when I stumbled into logistics. Honestly, I think the first thing that I realized a lot of times when I was pitching these solutions is that there were so few women in the top leadership. There were a lot of women in customer service. There were a lot of women in operations, in marketing, not many. So this is 2010, 11 when we started working in logistics, and I realized that the top really did not see too many women, which sometimes could be a challenge because it was a traditionally male dominated industry. But the good thing for me has been that we found incredible mentors and who were willing to hold our hand. The tough one was, of course, you did not have too many friends to turn to because it was difficult to make friends.
Not
That
much
is one.
relates to your experience, right? Yeah.
Yes, yes. The other challenge of being a woman CEO is that a lot of times any recognition or any awards or anything that comes your way, it says woman entrepreneur, woman CEO. I'm very grateful for what we have won, but I seriously wish it just said entrepreneur and
Yeah,
CEO because honestly my gender has got nothing to do with what I do on a day-to-day basis.
agree.
And the fact that we have to keep reinforcing the gender also creates problems for us sometimes because you start wondering whether you've been given a recognition because you're a woman or because you're a CEO. Tell me which one. That's the one. Having said that, I think one big conversation that we have been trying to do, and it's not been a conscious policy decision. It's just been through experience and through the fact that I had great mentors and great bosses, is that we've been pretty inclusive in the approach that we have at ODeX. And when I say it is maternity leave in our largest country is 6 months. We say that take your time. Doesn't matter. You want to come back for 2 hours, come back for 2 hours. You don't want to come back for a year, don't come back for a year. It's okay. So small things I think that really counts. I wouldn't say that you should have a privilege of being a woman. I would only say that whichever is the best talent should get in. And once the best talent is in, forget about the gender. To get more women in, I think what we try and do is to get more and more resumes in when we are recruiting. That's what we try and do. Because somewhere I feel that there's an added burden on me as a woman CEO to to not fail. And I'm being very candid because you know if a CEO has failed, but when a woman CEO fails, you failed a tribe.
Yes.
That's a big burden that you carry. The second one is also we tend to deal with imposter syndrome a lot of times as women, and you wonder whether you made it because of your gender. I can be very candid after 10 years that honestly, we didn't make it before because of the
Gender?
gender. We made it in spite of it, if I may say so. And because we had an incredible team, we still see gender biases. I mean, we have had situations when some men decide to quit because, a
The
woman
woman
got
was, yeah.
promoted. But I think we will deal with it as we keep growing. It's something that is getting better. I see a lot more women in logistics and logistics tech today, and that is really heartening. But yeah, it is always at the back of your mind. You are a woman CEO.
Wow, I guess this whatever that you said, it just never stops. It goes all the
Never,
way. Yeah.
never.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the next generation will not have to face it.
It was great speaking to you, Liji.
Thank you,
Thank
Shweta.
you. Thank you for
Pleasure.
your insights. Yes, definitely. Likewise. I will see you soon.
Yes.
All right. Bye bye.
Have a nice day. Have a nice evening. Bye.
And that would be all for today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned for more exciting episodes featuring industry leaders from around the globe. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating.